What is going on, everyone? My name is Jax, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I have the X-Men Future Shock dialogue event breakdown. I know I am very, very late on this. I meant to have this like the first week of September, but I just got crazy busy with school. It's really like I've been the craziest I've ever been in my life. I'm going full time for school, and I have a lot of classes and a lot of stuff, and making art projects like left and right. So definitely like consumed my time. But I'm gonna try to change that and try to get like a video out every week, whether that's like a motion comic breakdown, whether that's like if someone's getting buffed, like just like a breakdown of that character, just so you can kind of understand a little bit of the lore of that character. I think that would be really cool. Or other stuff too. Just kind of like what I can do, and maybe some CCP testing streams, stuff like that. I think would be really cool just to help the channel out, because I've been lacking. I want to have content out for you guys. I don't want to be like messing stuff up, because I've been missing it, man. I've been missing Craven breaking down lore for everyone, because it's one of my favorite things. That's what my channel is all about. It's just teaching you guys the story of the contest. Might be the only person that's ever read the entire dialogue of the entire game. That doesn't work out there, so we'll work at the offices. So it'll be really cool to keep going on and let you know what you guys missed. Breakdown. So this is before I get started, this is a long event. Like compared to these past couple months, this is a really long event, so I'm going to try to go as fast as possible. I've read a lot of the X-Men comics, especially the recent years, but I haven't read every single one, so if I missed anything, please let me know. It does happen. But yeah, I've also read all the dialogue of the previous X-Men events, so I do obviously going to talk about that a bit too. So hopefully this video won't be too long. My first time recording was like 20 minutes, so let's see if we can make it a little bit faster. Anyway, so we the summoner are obviously summoned, happens every event, to basically we're sent to Krakoa. Obviously Krakoa is in the contest. We do have it was basically sucked into the contest, and with it Professor X, and basically when he got sucked in, it healed his legs because he was in Krakoa, which is a healing nation, or at least the Krakoan tree can heal, and that's how his legs were healed, and that's why we have Professor X without the wheelchair. Sorry Dorky Dave, but that's why he doesn't have his wheelchair. So it'll be pretty cool to see that we're now actually in Krakoa again since that event, and basically we're summoned by an Agent of Apocalypse, and there aren't that many Agents of Apocalypse. There's only one, and that's actually obviously the MROC Pyramid X Storm. Basically she was summoned to the contest basically technically she was already in the contest in a sense. She was actually in MROC Battle World, where she was obviously under the influence of Apocalypse, the God Apocalypse, or the Pharaoh Apocalypse, that version of Apocalypse, and he actually summons her outside of Battle World into the Contest Champions to spy for him, be his emissary, and let him know what's going on, because once you leave the world of Battle World, you can't actually go back. So she's kind of stuck here. We haven't actually figured out what she's been doing since she's actually gone here, since 2 years ago, but now we know she's actually on the island of Araco, and she's actually helping out this version of Apocalypse and his clan. So it's really cool to see actually what's been happening, because she's like a villainess in a sense, but seeing what's actually going on, because they're still teasing Apocalypse. Like we haven't had an Apocalypse event in MROC yet, so I'm kind of waiting for that to happen, but everything with MROC's been really slow recently, so we will see and kind of see where that goes on, because the MROC place looks freaking sick. I want to do a video on it once that event comes out, but it's so cool. Anyway, she basically tells us that something's happened, that with the clan Akaba. Let me know if I said that wrong. The nation of the Lord Apocalypse has found its way from prying eyes of Crow and is under attack. Someone has attacked one of the silos, and she basically caught Kitty Pryde doing it on camera. So that's interesting, because why would Kitty do that? And she's basically saying she's accusing of Krakoa of doing this, and we should basically be at peace, and you're straight up attacking us. That is not peace right there. So she wants revenge, she wants answers, and she wants to know what's going to happen to Kitty Pryde, and she wants us to go find her. She knows that Wolverine's obviously her best friend. We saw it in the motion comic, where we have a little bit of their the relationship in the comics. If you've read that, you obviously know that they're pretty good pals. All right, so we gotta go find Mrs. Pryde, and then obviously Storm departs. So let's go get her. We find Wolverine, and he's like, give me that video. He wants it because he doesn't believe it. He doesn't want to believe that Kitty Pryde would just outright do this. It doesn't really make sense for her. So here's a true summoner. He said that she's been acting a little strange, and he basically is talking about that her powers don't allow her to go through the gates of Krakoa. Basically, these gates are kind of like around the place, like Mars and Earth, and basically mutants can pass through them and go to the land of Krakoa. And mostly mutants, because sometimes there are exceptions to it, because you have the Gala and whatnot. But she can't actually go through it. She has a bad relationship with plant life. I actually don't know what that's referencing. Maybe like I'm just blanking on it. The only thing I can think of is the Broods, but maybe not. Anyways, we actually find the trail of Kitty, and it's dangerously close to the Omega Academy. If you don't know what the Omega Academy is, that's actually the academy that Omega Red and Emma Frost came to the game, and Omega Red was a lackey of Emma, and they built the Omega Academy into the contest to be like a second place for mutants, you know what I mean? Just something for her own gains, and she's basically been building it up for the past 3 years since she's been added. And basically, Wolverine's talking about this. She's been a power play in the battle realm. She's getting a lot of power, and we've kind of like seen a little bit of that whenever she's around, just growing her empire up. Kind of like I think it's like more of like the Hellfire Club. I think it's really pretty much alluding to that is the Hellfire Club. But we'll kind of see what goes on. We do have I think we have some mutant villains coming out, or mutants that are kind of like on the Brotherhood and Hellfire. We'll kind of see what's going to happen next mutant event, but it's interesting. I wonder if they're building this up right here. Anyway, she said, "Who's this astronaut you're palling with?" I never thought the summoner us would be called the astronaut, but there it is. Basically, we ask her why you're trying to break in, and she says that things have been tense between Apocalypse's tribe and ours, but nothing's happening. Basically, is that she basically then when she was obviously she can't go through the gate. She was just having to deal with her problems, and she figured out that someone was messing with us. She was messing with Krakoa, so someone's messing with Araku, and they're messing with Krakoa, and basically she wants to get to the bottom of it. So she followed Emma Frost because she thinks she's involved, and that led her here. But once we get to the Omega Academy, we actually find Venompool. I never expected Venompool to be in this event. That's so strange. He's been basically in couple events. He's basically just the love child of Deadpool and Venom, and actually he's a security guard right now. So right now he's a security guard for Emma Frost, which is hilarious. And he says, "I'm gonna get promotion if I deal with you." So that's pretty funny because he was like a child, like a love child, and now he's trying to go up the ranks in the Omega Academy. And obviously we have a Symbiote event next month too, so I'm curious of once we defeat him, where he goes, because we defeat him obviously and he just disappears or whatnot. So it's interesting to see that we have a Venom Symbiote in the game in this event. In the next month we actually do have Anti-Venom and Null and the Summoned Symbiote, so it'll be a really interesting event to see how Venompool plays into that. So now that we obviously defeated Venompool, let's go to the Omega Academy and figure out what it's all about. And we find out a little about what Kitty Pryde's been up to. She's basically been freelancing, and that's basically what I assumed was happening too, because she actually has been talked about by Wolverine a couple years ago, and he said that basically he was with Kitty Pryde in the contest, and we just haven't seen her yet. And she's been talked about in a couple bios and everything, so we know that she's actually been in the contest for a bit. We just haven't seen her because she's apparently been freelancing and never met us. we were basically one symbiote, we're one summoner inside the multiverse, more like a giant multiverse, but collapsed into a tinier multiverse. It's strange, but we never met her, so it's interesting. Basically, she calls out Emma Frost. She's like, "Hey, what's going on? Why'd you do this?" And she's like, I struck a deal with Xavier that I'm basically dealing these drugs and helping him out, but I'm also helping out Araku. She's playing both sides to her own advantage, and she's basically saying, the sins of your father, obviously Professor X, they're not to be forgiven. He actually has been burning bridges. Basically, in the comics right now, he's obviously trying to have peace for Krakoa, but there are cracks that are forming. Specifically, we had Onslaught recently with Legion defeating him, which was so cool. My favorite character of all time, Legion, man. I love him. He defeated Onslaught with the help of Nightcrawler. And basically what was happening is there were cracks that formed in Krakoa. Professor X was becoming more aggressive. People that were dying and being resurrected were becoming more hatred, because that's what Onslaught was feeding on, was everyone's hatred. But we finally defeated Onslaught to get a little bit closer to the peace of Krakoa, but it's still, humans still hate mutants. Mutants are becoming way more powerful than they've ever been. So it's very, very hostile, and it's kind of hard, running a whole nation for mutants. People that have been oppressed basically their whole entire existence. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Out of nowhere, the Omega Academy is actually attacked by Kitty Pryde, which is weird because we're in the room with Kitty Pryde. So now there are 2 Kitty Prydes, and one just came in, and basically Wolverine's like, hey, she smells like death. She doesn't smell like Kitty Pryde, which is very interesting because that could mean all sorts of things. And so that we defeat her, and he says that this is a clone, which she's got a whole bunch of robotic parts inside of her. And then she's consumed by a thermite. So this obviously reminds me of like the Sentinels. They do have like this self-destruct sequence with their power core, and then they obviously incinerate themselves with a giant explosion, which is really cool. So get a little bit of that. And Emma Frost is talking about, I'm sick of these idiots like destroying the Mega Academy or attacking it, which has happened a bit because obviously she has been rising to power these past couple of years. But it's funny that she's sick of it. Anyway, she gives us information on the factory that's making these clones, cyborg mutants things, and it's in the Black Quadrant, which is interesting because the Black Quadrant, we've figured out these past couple of years, this Black Quadrant is basically Thanos' running ground, his grounds, but he's been dead. We kind of defeated him, and he kind of, got snapped away, and so he's been gone, but his Black Order's still there, so we have to go to this place with a factory that's in there and go figure out who's been making these cyborgs. Emma doesn't go with us, but she obviously tells us where it is, and we go there, and they're just talking about a little bit of Xavier. He's just a man, but he can make mistakes. He's only mutant. I can't, you know what I mean? So yeah, just building on that thing where Professor X isn't the perfect thing for the mutant nation, which to me, rings a little bit of like Nate Gray and Legion, how they've been like alluded to as like the prophet, the leader, a little bit more religious on that side, you know what I mean? Like leading their people. So I think that's really cool because I wonder if they're like teasing like, hey, this Legion or Nate Gray, these 2 people that are like, they're kind of figuring out the sins of Professor X and figuring out what to do for their people. Like they want to do it, they just don't want to do it the way Professor X and Magneto want to do it. They want to do it like the perfect way, and so that's kind of what's been alluded to in the comics. And I'm really hoping this comes out true because I would love Legion to be added. Nate Gray is equally as powerful. Obviously Legion's more sporadic, but Nate Gray is pretty much the same, so it's really interesting to see what actually does happen. But yeah, Black Quadrant, Thanos' old grounds. I already knew that, but in case you didn't, we do. So we go there, and this basically, I actually did skip, but we defeated Proxima, and I was gonna say I don't know why they're still defending the Black Quadrant. Like it's kind of interesting to see. Like I wonder if they're teasing something there as well. But Thanos has been dead for a couple years now, so it's interesting to see what's happening there. Anyways, so we defeat Proxima and move on to a hidden land inside the Black Quadrant, and that's the Lands of the Future Past, which is really cool. So this actually, I don't know when this got added to the contest, but we did have Sentinel come to the game with Bishop, but that was from like an alternate timeline where instead of the mutants being oppressed and almost wiped out, it's the opposite. Mutants are the one oppressing everyone else and wiping out everyone else, which I think is hilarious because that's just so ironic. But yeah, that's actually happened, and so this is some different alternate timeline that's been sucked in. It's from the classic Chris Claremont 80s run, obviously one of the most famous comics of all time. Yeah, especially for the X-Men, and yeah, it's just really cool. You've seen the Mutant Detention Center is what they find out, and obviously if you've watched movies, you've watched The Gifted, you've watched Deadpool 2, you know what a Mutant Detention Center is. It's a bunch of mutants trapped in cages with the collars on, getting rid of their mutant abilities or just suppressing them. Obviously, Chris Claremont definitely pulled on to what happened during World War II with the Jews, so you understand, just I'm painting that dark picture of like, just this is the absolute hell for anyone in this Mutant Detention Center. Anyway, so they're moving over along, and he basically says, I smell sterilization, chemicals, hot metal, television. Yeah, what they did to the mutants was, like, effed up to the utmost. Like, they sterilized them so they couldn't make more mutants. They took away their abilities. They killed them. They harvested them, their DNA. And they did absolute worst for them. And he also says bad television. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's, like, an 80s reference or whatnot, but yeah, like it's pretty dark, man. But they actually find a sticker. Like they basically find a smiley face with a thumbs up emoji, and he's actually saying, Mojo, a while ago I took down a place where the scumbag was cloning mutants. That actually did happen when Mojo was entered the game with Longshot. We figured out that he was broadcasting his Mojoverse, and he was actually using clones of mutants that he captured on his his time in the battle realm when he got added, and he started just cloning them. And so that was pretty crazy. It's pretty cool that they're actually building, building onto this. I always love the X-Men events because they always build on to each other. Like, it's really cool. Like, I think X-Men and obviously my favorite team of all time. So it's really cool to see that they really have like this linear story going on. Anyway, so he said this is twisted. Someone's gunning clones. So no longer is someone making clones. They're gunning them, harvesting them, turning them into what looks to be prime Sentinels, the utmost powerful Sentinels of all time, being the most perfect form. But out of nowhere, Domino shows up, and she says, she's basically saying they're surprised they recognized her, and Kitty and Domino have like this rivalry, and they talk about it for a little bit, and then we just defeat her, and we find out that they are in fact making these prime Sentinels. They're using nanites to turn them into killing machines. I mean, like, who wants just a human turning into a Sentinel when you could have a mutant turning into a Sentinel and having that ability as well? So yeah, and the nanites kind of building on to what happened with Omega Sentinel and Nimrod and those stories these past couple years. They've been building onto their lore, which is really cool. Anyways, we said Nimrod finally shows up and says, "Color me impressed, Miss Pride. Your actions have compelled me to open up a slot in my busy schedule." Building on to his personality, we saw in the motion comic how he was like, pride come before the fall, which is really cool. So we get that, like, still biblical. He's the ultimate hunter in the Bible, and obviously he's the ultimate sentinel in this, and he's the herald of the future, which I really cool. I love the word herald because obviously I think of Herald, I think of Galactus. He's been teased a couple years now. Technically, he's been teased since like the first year of the contest, but he's officially, like, he's been saying he's been summoned to the contest. He just hasn't arrived yet, so it's really cool to see the herald of the future, because we still have one more herald to come to the game yet, and it's going to be interesting to see. And I know he's a herald, but not a herald, or she or he, but it'll be really interesting to see who that is. So obviously he's saying that he's been building prime sentinels and they're ready to incite war. He wants to destroy the mutant nations because that's what he was built for. He was built for destroying and enslaving the mutants, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to do it, and he wants to turn mutants against each other, does everything he can. He's that evil. Like, he's saying again, kudos to you, just kind of messing with her, and she's like, kudos to you. I mean, like, you just told me your plan. You just told me everything you're doing. Like, this is all the evidence I need to show what's exactly happened here. So he's like, thankfully your plans rely on your assumption that you can defeat me. I am the apex of Sentinel technology designed to be the greatest threat in mutant life imaginable. Your assumptions are highly dubious. And Wolverine's like, he basically calls him a marshmallow motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious. So yeah, we defeat him, and he's talking about, like, just going more on that monologue, which is interesting. We're gonna add your remains to the next wave of Prime Sentinels. As for your third wheel, let's just say I'm looking forward to crafting my first Prime Sentinel summoner when this is all over. That's interesting. But obviously you defeat Nimrod and the event is over. This event was really cool. I love the mutant events. They're always my favorite, and I think this is the longest event this year, so that's pretty cool too. This definitely surprised me. I thought this was going to be a bad event, but it turned out really cool, and I'm really excited to see. We do have mutants coming out next year too, and it looks like something to do with Magneto, so I'm really excited to see what's happening, because we have the trial of Magneto right now. We have Inferno right now with Mystique and Destiny. Like, there's some really cool stuff happening with the mutants, and I would definitely stay peeled. Keep your eyes peeled. Check out the comics too, because all of these are built off the comics. Like, someone told me the other day, like, dude, every comic is either finished or started with the mutant event in the game. So it's very interesting to see. Like, the comics are really helping out with the contest right now. So anyways, I want to thank you guys again. I'm sorry this took forever to make, but hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I appreciate you guys. Have a good night, and yeah, check out tomorrow's video for sure, because we're gonna definitely break down Null, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.